Joe McElderry and The Climb on BBC Radio Sheffield. So the sports and music event Sheffield is only days away now, and one of the performers appearing at the Don Valley Bowl is X Factor winner Joe McElderry. Joe's about to release his fourth album, and I asked him in my chat with him if he knew that he was the only ever X Factor winner to release 4 albums.
Just been told this the other day, but apparently nobody else has done it.
Really? So Leona Lewis hasn't done it then?
She's only had 2 albums, I think.
Oh, Does that matter then to you, stuff like that?
Do you know what it is? I'm just thankful that I've been able to release 4 albums. I never even thought I would get past 1, so to be 3 years down the line since X Factor, it's incredible. You know, I don't really get involved in all the statistics, and sometimes you can get a bit too wrapped up in chart positions and all of that kind of stuff, but I'm just pleased that I'm able to put albums out and they do well and people enjoy them. That's the main thing.
People are enjoying them as well. And what about pop star to opera star? Because that gave you kind of a different angle to what we were familiar with you for, didn't it?
That was a bit of a risk for me, you know, looking back now. Coming straight out of a show like X Factor and then going on to something like quite, you know, it's a critical world, the operatic and classical world. So I could have just been hated for doing that, but I had a blast doing it. The techniques I learned on that show were just like, you'd never get that training again. I mean, you would pay thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to be able to train like that, and I wouldn't probably get into the schools that you have to train there. So to do it as part of a TV show and kind of add a bit of fun element to it, but learn at the same time, it was brilliant.
And what are you going to do with that experience then? Have you already applied it to the work that you do now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I did the classic album last year, which had a lot of the classical crossover stuff and opera arias on. But this album is more the poppy ballads, kind of what I'm known for. I've done a lot of my own writing on this one. So, but when I'm doing shows, the vocal stamina that I was taught last year, which the classical singers use, I put that in so that I can, you know, belt out the high notes and keep it going right the way through a show, you know, whereas normally I would be feeling it by like the 7th or 8th song into the show. But now I can just stand on stage for hours and hours and keep singing, but I don't tell anybody that, otherwise they'll never have us off stage.
You don't want that? Well, no, we do want that, actually. That's why you won X Factor, because people love you. That's part of what people like, you know, that kind of you've got a real personable way, haven't you, with your audience as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know how it is to go to a concert, and I know what I like to see when I go on stage, and I know what I like to hear, so I kind of put that into my work, and I make it kind of, you know, like a fun night for people, but at the same time, you know, they're there to hear my voice, so I want to give the best performance each time that I go, because that person might only ever see you once, you know, in your whole career, and you have to leave them with something really good.
Let's go back to X Factor for a moment. The whole experience of that, do you think that the television actually does justice to the experience that you went through? Is it the same, more or less the same, what we see to what happened?
The process is exactly as you see it, but it's actually, like, for us as contestants and finalists on the show, it's 10 times more hectic, because you only get to see the show once a week, but we're working like every single day, like 15-hour days, doing auditions, rehearsing. So it is the same, but it's all combined into an hour on a Saturday night. So you're sitting at home thinking, oh, well, that looks pretty easy. But it's pretty full on. I loved the show, and I loved the process of it, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. But looking back at it, it's like it's one full on process to go through.
And would you recommend other people to go through that process then, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what you have to do with it is, it's a platform. That's what it is. It's not. You're not going to be an overnight superstar for the rest of your life if you go on there. It's a platform. You have to work really hard, you know. And there is a lot of things thrown at you on the way, and you've just got to deal with them and keep going. But if you love music and you love singing, then that gets you through it. And the passion for that. But if you're just going on it to be famous, it's pointless doing it.
And one of the big steps for you when you actually left the show was to be sort of more open about your sexuality. How much of your persona is that then, Joe?
I wanted to talk about it, but at the end of the day, you know, it is who I am, but it's not all I am, if you know what I mean. There's many sides to it, so I'm very professional with my work, so I kind of wanted to I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want it to take over the fact that I was a singer and me music, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And why was it so important to talk about it then? Why didn't you just say, well, this is my business? Why did you feel the need to sort of talk about it and then to just leave it at that?
because what happened is I started doing loads of interviews for the first album, around the album, and what I found is nobody was asking about the songs, everybody was just trying to find out who my girlfriend is, if I had a boyfriend, who I'd kissed, who I fancied, and I was just like, everybody was just fishing and digging all the time, and I thought, I'm just going to do one interview, put it out there, and then put a stop to all these rumours and everything that happens, and make it about me music again, and be honest with people. I've always been honest, and that's just the way I am. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it and then kind of move on and carry on with my job.
And how did you find the digging? Because that must be a part of celebrity that you probably weren't fully aware of. I mean, obviously we read about other celebrities all the time, but is it something that you experienced that was actually worse than you perceived it would be?
I kind of did, I went on the show and I was so wrapped up in rehearsals and trying to be the best I could be on the show. I forgot that we were actually becoming famous on the show. That sounds really cringy to say because I hate saying, I just don't like the word famous, it just freaks us out. And excuse me, it wasn't until we finished the show and I went back to Newcastle and I was like, there was people chasing us down the supermarket aisles and everything, and I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot that the show was on telly. You just forget because you're in your own little bubble for 6 months, away from everybody. You've moved out to London, you're in a house, you're in a car, straight to the studio, back home. So it was quite a scary thing the first week after I won, and I did the round tables full of journalists and press and things like that, and the questions, I was like, oh my god, these are really personal. But now I'm just I've heard every question in the book. I'm like, bring it on. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And you do sound a lot more relaxed. You feel as if you've found your feet and you've found how much you're prepared to give people, and that's that. And that's a nice position for you to be in. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've served my apprenticeship now. I won the show. I didn't have a clue what I was doing at first. I didn't know what I wanted to do musically. I didn't know how to react to what was going on in the industry. But the experiences of pop star, opera star, having a few albums out, recording. I started songwriting in January, and a lot of the tracks on, there's 3 of the tracks on there that I've written and co-wrote with people. And I feel like now I know what I'm doing, and I know how to deal with everything. I've had everything thrown at us, career-wise, that I'm just okay, just put the album out and enjoy the ride. I just want to enjoy it now.
And Joe, you think you've had fun, but you're going to have more on Saturday, you know that, don't you, this weekend when you come to Sheffield?
I cannot wait.
Are you prepared for the amount of fun you're going to have here?
I'm really excited. We came on the X Factor tour, and then I did a show there last year. I can't remember what it was for, but they're always a really, really, really good crowd, and it's the first time I'm going to be singing the new stuff with the band as well. We're bringing the band up, so I was in rehearsals on Monday with them, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun one.
Joe McElderry, he's X Factor winner 2009, but he actually auditioned for X Factor in 2007, but was thought to be a little bit too young. But he auditioned again in 2009 in Manchester, and he sang this song.
Back when I was a child.
You have to give credit where it's due, don't you? That voice has really come on. Joe McElderry and Dance with My Father. And to take on a song that Luther Vandross has sung, I think that was very, very brave. And Tasha has sent a couple of kisses for Joe McElderry. She says, Paulette, thanks for having Joe McElderry on your show. Oh, I'm thanking him for coming on as well. It was lovely. She says, please tell him the whole of the McElderry Massive are incredibly proud of him as always. So make sure that you go and see him down at Sheffield, because he's going to be there this weekend. And to finish my interview with Joe McElderry, who's performing, as I said, at Sheffield this weekend, I thought I'd ask him a few quick-fire questions, starting with full English or coffee and a cig for breakfast.
To be honest with you, I don't really eat breakfast a lot, because I tend to get up at ungodly hours where you don't really want to eat, like 4 in the morning. So I'd probably say a cup of coffee, but not a cigarette, because I don't smoke.
Right. Festival wellies or designer shoes?
Do you know, I went to Wireless the other day with Converse on. It was the worst idea I could have ever... It was horrendous. My shoes were ruined, so I'd say wellies. I'll say wellies.
Festival wellies. And back to food again. A full roast dinner or a pasta surprise?
Full roast dinner.
Yeah, oh, you see, you like your food. I knew I'd get on with you, Joe. City break or weekend on the lash?
Oh, it depends. It depends who you're with. You know, if it was a small group, I'd say city break. If it was a big group of friends, weekend on the lash.
And are you a fan of coffee, or do you like herbal teas? What would you go for in that?
I drink a lot of green tea all the time. Yeah, I love it.
And is it good for you? Is it doing what it's supposed to be doing for you?
Well, I used to be addicted to coffee, like, really badly. And I used to drink, like, so much, and then I started getting the shakes if I didn't have a cup of coffee, and I was like, I've got to give this up, like, this is really bad. So I switched to green tea, and it's really good for you. Apparently it's good for your digestion as well, but I just like it. I like the taste.
And you just have it without honey then?
Just green tea. I mean, sometimes if I'm singing at a show, I'll have, like, on a night time before the show, green tea and honey, or just honey and lemon, but on a morning it's green tea.
Alright, well, we know what to treat you with then when you come to Sheffield. And just before you go, one final question. We're talking about the celebrity that you share your birthday with. This is a silly question to ask you, a celebrity. Do you know, when's your birthday, Joe?
I'm 16th of June.
And who do you share your birthday with, do you know?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know, there was some thing, somebody sent me a big thing of people, and it tells you who you... I'm sure... Oh, who is it? I don't know. It's some movie star. I know it is. It's some movie star, but I don't know who it is.
Alright, well, I'll do the homework, and I'll let you know. We'll see you at the weekend then, Joe.
Thank you very much. See you then.
So he said movie star. It was, in fact, one of the people, anyway, that Joe McElderry shares his birthday with, the 16th of June, is James Bolam. You know, the actor who was on When the Boat Comes In and Only When I Laugh, and he's now on New Tricks, so he shares his birthday with him. So that'll be exciting. In Sheffield, 4:30 on Saturday at Sheffield. If you're a fan of Joe McElderry, get yourself there if you want to catch a glimpse of him.